Hey there, it's your favorite girl, Manji Nadia Faka, author of Mom. Welcome to Candid Talks on the Fierce Femme Energy podcast. Coco Chanel once famously said, "A woman who cuts her hair is about to change her life." So my question to you is, what's hair got to do with it? Today, we're going to be focusing on short hair. This segment is based on Chapter 1, Book of Queens, and is primarily focused on short hair. As a black woman, the length, the look, the feel, the texture of our hair is such a trivial thing, especially within our community. Hair is almost like a way that we maintain and obtain the ever-changing beauty standard. Here with me today are lovely, beautiful ladies who've either gotten the big chop once, twice, been bald, had it tapered, however you want to slice it or dice it. Well, without further ado, let me welcome you to our lovely, lovely panel. Ladies, in no particular order, go ahead and introduce yourselves.
So my name is Imani Hepburn. Out of the many fun facts, I think one would be that I cut my hair almost every 6 months. The longest I've ever gone without cutting it is about 3 years, which was most recently.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. I really want to, I would like for you to share with us later on in the podcast what, causes you to do that constantly. But yeah, it's cool. All right. Who wants to go next?
I guess I'll go really quickly. So hey y'all, my name is Latoya and I am from Brooklyn, but I now live in Queens. Well, I've been here for about 10 years now. So shout out to anybody who's in Queens or from Queens. I also run a local book club here in Queens called Red Wine and Thoughts by Blacks. So look out for that. And one fun fact about me is I've had my hair cut short since I was about 15 years old. So, yep.
All right. I'm also originally from Brooklyn. I moved to Queens years ago, so I feel you. I'm here with you on that. Okay. Who do we have? Who wants to go next? I feel like I'm gonna choose somebody with red lipstick. Can
Hi,
we next?
I'm Cashel. My cousin also, like Shauna, my cousin tagged me in the post for this, and I just figured I recently chopped my hair for the second time in my life. The first time I was just graduating high school in '99, and I cut it and locked it. And then more recently, I did it again this year. Fun fact about me is that I've been writing since I was 7, but I published my first poem in an all-black anthology this year. And actually, so
Congrats. I forgot to congratulate all you ladies on your endeavors. It's so funny how this works out. We're all storytellers to some extent. So I'm really excited, and I know this is going to be an amazing podcast. I feel it. Yeah, shout out to you. Yes. All righty. We're not gonna say last yet because Shoshana got to go again. But Athena.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Athena. I'm from the Bronx. So hello, my New York people. A fun fact about myself would be that I have multiple businesses, from painting into body care and candles. I'm very big on self-care. So that right there, I definitely want to indulge in and always looking for new ways to innovate.
That's great. That's lovely. We love self-care over here at Fierce Femme Energy podcast. Yes. We love it when women take care of themselves unapologetically. And so after this podcast, actually, I'm gonna reach out to you ladies. And if you have anything going on, I'm happy to support. I'm happy to purchase.
You know, right now I'm using this product called from Respected Roots. It's like for your hair or whatever. It smells good, feels good, everything. I'm all about the skincare, hair care thing. So just go ahead and shoot me that text, that link, and I'll be happy to support. And last but not least, you said first shall be last and last shall be first. Look at that. Shoshana, we can't hear you, boo.
I'm sorry. Yes, Shoshana, but you guys can call me Shauna. And again, I don't have a fun fact, but my cousin tagged me in this post and I was like, it should be a fun time. Like I said, I'm interested in hearing your like other women's point of view. So yeah.
Okay. All right. So before we get into the conversation, I just wanted to go ahead and share a few interesting reasons why women cut their hair off. You know, initially before getting you on this podcast, I did send you all a quick questionnaire. I kept it open for a reason because I wanted to see if there are any differences, similarities, and the reasons why women cut their hair, and especially Black women, and what were the responses. Did they vary? I didn't really want to put too much of my own thinking into it. I really wanted to keep it as open and subjective for everyone, because that's what makes a podcast interesting, right? So I got this list. It's kind of dated, so don't come for me, y'all. But this was the closest thing to like an actual, like, I was like, oh, okay, these are reasons that I haven't heard. So it's 16 reasons why women cut their hair off. This is from an article in 2012 from Yahoo News. So yeah, it's dated, but the reasons are still pretty relevant. So we have reason 1, to finally be free. Number 2, to get attention. Number 3, to get respect. Number 4, somebody said YOLO, you only live once. Reason 5, to tell your friends, family, you don't know me, even if they probably do. Number 6, I really don't like this answer, but it says because you've lost your mind. I don't like that answer because I'm really a stickler when it comes to mental health. But I mean, for the lack of better terms, yeah, to lose your mind. To play a girl pretending to be a guy in a movie, to look like Mia Farrow, to get over a bad breakup, to be extremely passive aggressive. I don't agree with that one either. To stop having your hair rule your life because you're sick, to manage Olympic stress because you just had a kid, to pass a drug test, or because you're Amanda Knox. Some interesting reasons there, but most definitely not invalid, right? When first, I didn't even introduce myself. I introduced myself in the email, but I didn't introduce myself. So if you ladies, I'm sure you already know, but I'm a first-time self-published author this year as of March 31st. Like you, I don't remember who mentioned a poetic anthology. Yes, Kasha. So this is a poetic anthology. I will be sending you ladies complimentary copies for getting on this podcast, because I really and truly loved how in tune you were into this conversation and getting it started. So it's a poetic anthology. It follows my life story, but it also touches on different topics and 4 chapters. And it's a great read. I implore you, once you read it, share it with somebody you love, a Black woman you love. Share it with a man, friend, family member, coworker. I really do think that this is a great like guidebook. Not because I know it all, but because I touch on experiences that so many of us can definitely relate to, whether you're a man, woman, Black or white. So yeah, that's me. I'm a creative. I'm also a photographer. I also own a startup clothing line, and I love to dance. I just love the arts. But that's enough about me. We're gonna get into this conversation here. So oftentimes short hair the response is different, right? From work, your friend circle, your family circle, your relationship circle. How, before we even get to how the response is, if briefly each and every one of you women can just like chime in and tell us how did you get to the point of, okay, I'm going to cut my hair? Why? What was the response? Just kind of generally talk about what your experience was like. No particular order.
I'll go first.
Sean is like, yeah, I better go first.
When I first cut my hair, I was in high school, and I'm 27 now. I'm 27 now. And I had just cut my hair like into a pixie cut for like picture day or whatever. And I didn't have a job in high school. Of course, you know, my parents were supporting me, and I was like, damn, I really need my hair done, but this is really not working for me right now. My hair was dry. It just looked raggedy. So I was like, ooh, I think my dad has clippers. And I cut my hair off myself. So when I came out the bathroom, my mother was like, what did you do? And then she took me to the barber, and it's been low ever since. I don't think I've ever grown my hair out past like an afro. Yeah. After that, yeah, no, I haven't grown it out since then much, really. So it's been short. And I've been,
Okay, all right.
you know,
We have some similarities there. We're gonna talk about that once everybody else shares. But yeah, cool. All right, who's next?
I guess I'll go next. The first time I cut my hair, oh my God, I was in high school too. My hair has been permed since I was 12. And like, you know, when you're here, I don't know if you guys ever had permed hair, but like when it was freshly permed, it was long and bouncy and great. It didn't last. So it was kind of like stringy. It was still long, but it was thin. So I was like, I'm not. I think it was right before my senior year of high school. I just snip. And ever since then, I've been cutting it sporadically because it's like, hey, it's gonna grow back. So that was the first time. And ever since then, I've cut it like pretty much every 3 to 6 months after that. And when me and my husband got together, he dared me to grow it out for a long period of time because he's like, I'm scissor happy. And before the last time I cut it, it's been growing out for 3 years. And then I was like, like literally took the shears and cleaned it off. We actually videotaped it because it was hilarious. But yeah,
Well,
and it was the lowest I cut it too.
well, at least we can say that, you know, you stuck it out for as long as you can. He better have given you credit, because okay. All right, who wants to go next?
I'll go next. So the first time I cut my hair was in 2017 after transitioning. So I, you know, cut off the ends and I was like, okay, this is going to be it. And I grow it healthy from here until last year hit. And I just decided to chop it all off. I chopped it all off. I only had about an inch of hair, if that, and dyed it. And that was the first time I've ever really cut my hair off like that. And the reason I did that was like just getting rid of loose ends. Like, you know, men in my life got rid of that, got rid of the hair. I just felt like a brand new woman. So, and I've been growing it ever since. I don't think I'll cut it again though.
Nice. Ooh, why is it saying my connection is unstable? I'm connected to the Wi-Fi over here. They better not play with me. Sorry, ladies. All right, so Kashal, Latoya, Kashal.
Jump in.
Lachelle. Well, I said Lachelle. I was about to do my little DMX rendition.
He said my name though, just
He did. He said Latoya.
I would say for me, like many people have already said, the first time was high school, and I grew up in Long Island, and at that time in Long Island, being black was like a novelty. It was what it's become. So that I always wanted to be genuine and authentic, and I grew up around a lot of bullshit, a lot of pretentiousness, a lot of bougie stuff, and there's nothing wrong with being that way if that's who you are. That's just not who I was. And so I think by the time I graduated, I was like, and I really loved Lauryn Hill. She was popular at that time, and she had the locks, and I was like, wow, I would love to, present that part of myself, and I did. And it was a big deal because then there wasn't like all this hair care that there is now, and there were no tutorials, and like you just went rogue. And a really quick story, I remember this girl, I had a friend at the time who went to Hofstra, and she had a friend who was like Ethiopian. I'm saying that to say she had a look to her that was, culturally relevant to that culture. And I remember we were going to a party, like a frat party, and we were in the elevator, and she looked at my hair and she was like, why would you want to do that to your hair? Like, why would you want to cut it off and just wear it like all nappy like that? I'll never forget that. And I said, because that's who I am. That's what I look like, and I like it. That's why I did it, And I wore locks from all the way that time. I had locks, and then I think I cut them out, and then I had it natural, and then I locked it again in '04, and then I had the locks all the way up until May of this year. And now fast forward, I turned 40 this year also. And well, thank you. I'm glad to be here. I have to tell you. And I was like, this is a new chapter. I just got my license in New York State. I'm a therapist. And so, I was like, all of this stuff is happening now, and I'm transitioning now. And it's time now for me I want to rock straight styles. And now the beauty industry supports me doing that without having to get a perm. And there are more products and more tutorials than I could ever think about. So, yeah, this was my second big chop, and I'm in a protective style because I got a little lazy in the past 2 months, which is fine.
Definitely fine.
Go ahead, but Imani, sorry, you were saying something.
No, it just chipped out a little bit.
Oh, okay. So like y'all, my story it goes back, I think about 18 years. So I want to keep this really short because I've cut my hair a lot. But I guess I'll talk about the two most memorable times that I cut my hair. So the first time did the big chop, I was 15. The reason why I went to the salon, they permed my hair, everything was coming out. Like you said, Imani, very stringy, very thin, but still long. So I just went to a beautician, and she was able to cut it for me and style it. And around that time, Halle Berry was like, the it girl with the short hair. So the responses that I got back, the feedback that I got was really positive because everybody was like, oh my God, Halle Berry. I'm like, oh my, so I was 15, I was really feeling myself. I started getting attention that I wasn't getting before. And I was like, oh, okay, this short hair thing, this might be it. So I've probably been short ever since then. But the second time I cut my hair, had my son, this was about 10 years ago. And I was taking prenatal vitamins. I couldn't get my hair permed anymore because I was, pregnant. So when I gave birth, I was going to cut my hair, but my husband, like you, Imani, was like, oh, can you leave it and let it grow? So I let it grow a little bit, probably to my shoulders. And then I couldn't find my stylist. She like disappeared on me. And I was like, you know what? I just cut it at home. I just cut it all off. I was down to like where my roots are, where you can see the dark. And my husband came home. He was like, what the hell did you do? I was like, I don't know. I went, got some color, and I've been natural ever since. So yeah, that's my story.
That's what's up. Wow, so many relatable moments in each and every one of you ladies' stories. I believe I am the youngest one on this panel. Um, but I feel like our experiences like are just similar in so many different ways. So my hair journey actually started very young. The first time that I ever had to cut my hair was due to a scalp condition. I don't know if you're familiar with psoriasis, dermatitis of the scalp. So I had it really bad. I've had perms previously, but years, maybe it was like I was 7 years old, I believe, when I first had to get it cut. And it was probably the most terrifying experience for me because, you know, at that age, when kids are young, right, they associate gender in a very clear sense, like, you know, based on like how they are raised, right? So if you're a woman, you have long hair, or if you have hair, and if you're a boy, you don't have no hair, you know? So for me, it was a really terrifying experience, you know, having to also deal with colorism and, you know, being bullied for, you know, how dark I was. And then also having the West African layer to it, because at that time it also wasn't cool to be, you know, African or whatever. So by the time I had it cut, I remember when I went to the barbershop that day. At the time I was living in Maryland, and I cried, and then it didn't stop when I went to school. You know, they would laugh at me, call me names, and you know, my hair grew back, and my scalp was healthier. We figured out what the issue was, and then I did a perm probably once or twice when I came to New York. And by the end of junior high school, I think it was like 2010, I stopped getting perms. I think, yeah, my grandmother would have me go to the Dominican hair salon because she noticed at some point I got tired of her doing my hair. I had women in my family that did hair, but it was almost like trying to book your most favorite hairstylist. It's very hard to get their time. And, you know, I have really thick hair. It's interesting. It I wouldn't say thick, very full hair. So it's a lot of hair. You know, when the hair just covers so much space and you don't understand why. That's like my hair type. So I would go to the Dominicans and, you know, they do the, you know, wash and set. You know, I was doing I wouldn't say it was a silk press, but it was a nice wash and set. And that's what would carry, you know, me through. And then in high school, I met a few friends, and two of them actually dark-skinned women. I believe one of Trinidadian descent and the other one of Guyanese descent, who were really pretty much like into like embracing, like they're very like feminine and really like this whole me stepping out of the space of like, okay, you know what, I'm a dark-skinned Black girl, and you know, I'm really smart, I know I'm pretty, I know I'm not ugly, but for whatever reason everybody thinks that I am. So I was really experimenting like how to really step into that space and just really like, you know, love myself. And it really helped to have these ladies next to me. And we're still really good friends now, because watching how they carry themselves. My Guyanese friend was the first one to cut her hair. Okay. She cut her hair short, and I always felt like, oh my God, she had the perfect bone structure. She was tall, had nice hips. Really, she was skinny though, but she, you know, she had the slim thick going on. And I was like, oh my God, like her name was Tashana. She's like, oh, I'm like, oh, I love your haircut. Like it fits your face, you know. With haircuts, I've always looked at the Nia Longs, the Halle Berrys. I don't remember who else. The Toni Braxton. Like when Toni Braxton has short hair, it's a moment. and that's just one thing. I'm like, the bone structure does not lie. It's a moment when Toni and all these other women, you know, Nia Long with the dimples, Halle Berry's with the cheekbones and the smile. It was just given. So, and even Kelly Rowland too, like she was one of those that had her hair in that style for a long time. But my friend, she had it in a natural state. And I think that was like the marker for me, because I had not seen that paraded, and I wouldn't say paraded because that's not a proper term, like embraced and like, you know, done the way that she did it. And she always carried herself with the most confidence. And I was like, oh, this is something that I would want to try. So now when I probably like junior year in high school, I realized, okay, you know what? I have a curl pattern. I like the natural look. I've always liked the natural look. I was never really a fan of the straight. The straight was more convenient because then I wouldn't have to wait to get my hair braided and all that stuff. If it was not braided, if it wasn't done, I could just put it up and, you know, go to school, come back home. And I didn't get the cut until maybe my sophomore year in college. But throughout high school, I was natural. I transitioned, I let the hair transition. I was using different products. Back then, Cantu was the first one. And, you know, even now we know Cantu is like a no-go. But back then, Cantu was like my wash and go, quick. I have high porosity, so it took my hair forever to dry. But, you know, the styles was given. So sophomore year in college, when I cut my hair, at the time I was in a relationship, and I just was like, you know what, I really want to try the short look, and I also want to see what my hair would look like, what it would grow out to be, now that I know like how to do it, you know, how to style it and all that stuff, how it works. So I went for it, just like y'all. I took the scissors and I cut my hair. But it wasn't tapered. It wasn't like how Shauna has it or how Latoya has it or Imani. I had it in like the weird in-between stage, or the stage right before the in-between starts. And nobody in my family liked it. I had family members in Africa at the time who had traveled. My family, they travel all the time back home. And they saw the hairstyle debut on Facebook. So just imagine when I got all these different, why did you cut your hair? Like, what's going on? Like, and because I did my best to shape it in a way that it could shape. But once after you put the product in and all of that stuff, your hair is like, I don't want to say it's going in reversion, but it's just like, it's that stage right after you cut the hair. So it's not really doing what it's supposed to do, because it's just like, okay, whatever I was used to, like you just cut it off. So the hair is trying to do what it do. So my friends didn't like it. My boyfriend didn't like it. He almost made me feel like I like was ugly now because of like it. Like it was just like the demeanor, like it changed. And I don't think people actually started to warm up to it until like I actually started to embrace it, because this was my first time going short after going short so many years ago. And like the initial response that I got was similar to the one that I had when I was a child. So it just kind of, it was a bit traumatic for me, but in the same sense, I was like, okay, you know what? Here's the healthy hair. I'm going to grow it back anyway, but I have to embrace it. You know, at the time, Lemonade had just dropped when I had cut it. I think it was like April 2016. And because I got so much pushback, I like, you know, that same day Lemonade went through, I like crocheted my hair and like, but then the crochet wasn't given. So I cut it all out. I cut it all up the next day. Oh my gosh. So, yeah. And then after a while, I was just like, you know what? Freak it. You know, I was like, okay, my head ain't big. It's not as big as I thought it was. You know, I was used to like rocking big, like fun, like curly, big old afros and like weaves and stuff like that. Everybody embraces natural hair when it's long and when it has a shape. You ladies can unmute yourselves if you want to chime in, or and so for me, when I went ahead and embraced it fully, my walk was different. I mean, I always had a nice walk, but I now own that walk. I, wore a full face. I could walk out without a full face, because there's that stage too where you feel like, oh my God, well, I look masculine. Let me go beat, real quick. And then it just like floated off. So I grew my hair back. And then a part of me, you see, representation is so important, ladies. It's so important. I'm sure we all know this now.
Nancy, can I just jump in 1 second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because the section that you were talking about with like how people perceive us and making these choices, it was ringing so loud to me with that list that you read off about all the reasons, the 16 reasons why women cut their hair. And the one that I think most people would be like, no, that doesn't fit, is the passive aggressive one. Mm-hmm. But I think like our society, our culture seems to be more, and I'm talking about American culture, very like passively indirect, right? So other cultures look at Americans and go like, can't stand y'all talk too much, right? Or you're too forward. But then American to American, sometimes we're not as direct as we think we are. We might say one thing in the front and then say something else in the back. And so that kind of communication resonates with a passive aggressiveness, which doesn't really fall into the real meaning of the term. But I say that to say that hair is like a form of power. I think it's one of the first forms of power that we can identify with when we're young people of any gender. And being that so much of our body is policed by the people around us or who raise us, then cutting the hair, we all have seen like TikToks or whatever of little kids taking scissors and taking it to their hair and their parents being really upset about it, right? So, there's just this essence where I don't know if the passive aggressive term might have been improperly used, but there is something to be said about wanting to usurp a sense of personal power in doing and making these choices that are irreverent or irrelevant to other people around you, despite what they think and what they feel.
That is so true. Like it was, like I said, it's almost like an unspoken, like, no. It's like, what are you doing? Like, I did so much work. I was even thinking about the relationship between mothers and daughters, especially Black mothers and daughters, when, your daughter decides, okay, I want to dye my hair, I want to color my hair. And it's just like them knowing what hair used to be like and what it is for us, like for centuries now, and how almost like having long hair is like standard in their mind. Like, how dare you like ruin this hair my hair that I worked so hard to like, build and like grow and nourish. And so like the second time, that brings me to the second time that I cut it. The second time I cut it, I was 100% confident in who I was. I said, okay, I'm going to go for the tapered cut. I've always admired it on other people, other women. I'm going to go for it. So I got bored one day, my hair was black. Just said, maybe I should add some color to it. So I cut it. I colored it. I went to the barber shop. And then like, this was like 2 years ago. And, I've been rocking it since. I've seen it grow. Like you, Keshal, like if I want to grow it straight, I will grow it straight. And, it would just be hair. And I think that's also another part of the conversation too, because it's like, once you cut your hair, there's like this new trope that's attached to you. Oh, you woke. Oh, you sister soldier. Oh, you Black Lives Matter. And oh, I am not my hair. Like that is like everything. There's now this new expectation where you like have to like now fit that trope, and oh, you Lupita. And I love all these women that I'm shouting out, but it's almost like now it's like, well, okay, you stay over there. If you go back to this, then you hate yourself.
Yep.
If you wear your weave or a wig, you hate yourself. It's that constant policing back and forth, to be honest with you, I mean, like, I love big hair. I love my braids. I love everything, you know, but I feel the most sophisticated with a cut. It's like, if you concur, you can unmute yourself and like chime in. Like, I think we all can relate to that fact, you know, that when we cut our hair, it's like, I feel like the baddest thing walking. You can't tell me nothing.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Like
You
hair
can't
becomes
nothing.
like hair becomes like a part of us. It becomes a part of our who we are, our personality. For like, you're right. Short hair is me. Like I don't mind going back to wearing weaves and perms and whatever. I don't do that because I have to choose between a perm or color, and I just like funky colors, so color it is. But because you know you can't perm your hair and color anyway, whatever. But I just feel like hair is more than just hair. Hair really does become who you are. My son has locks, long locks. He will not let me cut it. It is literally an extension of him. One day, I hope he allows me to do the big chop for him, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I just want to make that point really quickly. That it's really becomes an extension of who you are.
Yeah, for sure. Now that we're talking about the response, right, and like who we are, right? I don't remember. What's the name? Oh, I do remember the name of the movie. Napoli Ever After was Sanaa Lathan. Everyone's watched it. I think it's viewed on Netflix.
I have not. I don't think. No, I never watched the whole movie.
I've fallen asleep on it.
Yeah, that's what it was.
I love the movie.
So like the cheesy love story, or you know, that the whole thing. I think what I really appreciated from that movie is that the difference that it made when Sanaa embraced the cuts versus when she was covering it up, right? Like, I feel like when you cut your hair, you can change it up whenever you want, right? But I feel like in those initial stages, it's so important to embrace it, because then you set the precedent and you make the statement for how other people are going to perceive you. Because once you cut it, the perception is already there. But when you embrace it, you set the tone. Remember when she had the scarf on, right? And she went into work and everybody automatically thought, oh my God, I'm so sorry. You know, this is nothing. This is not, like, disclaimer. If there's anybody suffering with cancer right now, this is not to make light of the situation. But in the movie, that's what happened. Like, they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I've been battling cancer too. And she's like, what? Cancer?
Yeah.
Oh God, I'm not laughing at the disease. I'm laughing at like the response and how people try to like, oh, she must be sick, so she cut her hair. Like, how insensitive can you be? But she might as well, she was sick, you know, she had I think her ex-fiance told her, oh, you know, I like to see your hair more. And then when she finally, you know, got her hair wet, or I think she showed her natural hair, whatever, he rejected it, you know. And then, like, could you imagine, like, you're damned if you do, like, doomed if you don't. Like, it was crazy. And then when she walked up in there with the high waist skirt and like her pumps and, you know, hip swinging and, you know, her hair, her face was beat and everything, you saw the shifts in the workplace. And that is one of the funniest things that it shouldn't even be it's so trivial, right? The idea of hair. But because for some people, hair means so many different things, it's almost like, well, when you do something that's against the norm or the quote unquote norm, then it's like, how dare you? You know, let's talk about the friend circles, right? We discuss, well, let's actually double back. Okay, so we're gonna just discuss real quick, short hair at work, your friend circle, your romantic relationships, and your family dynamics. We already touched on the different reasons why women cut their hair in the first place. I'm going to sum it up so that we can just reiterate that in case anybody missed that. So health, both physical and mental. Curiosity, just wanted to try something new. Convenience, wanted to be able to get up and go. Fashion is a trending hairstyle, is more acceptable. Business, it's part of your look. Models, I know for sure, or entertainers, dancers, they want you, actors, they want your look to be associated with your business, with what job they're going to hire you for. So now let's double back, short hair in different spaces, work, friend circle, relationships, family dynamics. How can you what can you say to the experience in those different spaces for you when you've had short hair, when you grew it back, just hair in general, but the main focus is short hair. So like if you could just give an example of what that was like, or if you felt like, okay, well, I can't come into work without a beat face now because I don't have hair. If you could speak to something in any of those spaces.
I'm gonna just start because I've been itching to say something about this. When you were listing them, I'm like, I've cut my hair for almost every single one of those reasons. It's like cutting your hair is just its own experience. Like when you were talking about how there was in the movie, there was a shift in how people perceive you. Like I've never really gotten any negative feedback except from my grandma, and we're going to talk about that later. I've never really gotten any negative feedback because when I decided to cut my hair the first time, it was me. And like, I just came out first and foremost, like, what are you going to say about it? It's me. You know what I'm saying? Like I came out so confidently about it. Everyone was like, oh my God, it fits you. Like, even though honestly, I didn't really think it did in the beginning, but because I was so bold about it, no one could say anything about it. I think my grandma was the only one negative about it because we're from Jamaica and your hair is your beauty, all that stuff. So like, I don't really think that there's any negative connotation in my experience. It's just that it is what you make it, honestly. As I said, I've cut my hair for every single one of those reasons. For mental and emotional health, literally. I think that was one of my most recent chops. Like it's been for every single situation and it's helped every single situation. I'm not gonna lie. I think there's something therapeutic about it. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, like there's just too many instances to even describe in a limited amount of time, but just know like it is what you make it. And whatever situation you're trying to solve with it, whatever reason you have to do it, be unapologetic about it. That's simple.
Okay, yeah, that's the most important part. Well, I love that you said that even when you didn't feel like it, you didn't let it show. And give or take, some women are not that strong. I hate using that term when it comes to women, but for the sake of the conversation, are not that strong, not bold to do it like that. So yeah, who wants to go? This is like a fishbowl. Anybody can chime in at work, relationship, family dynamic, any one of those spaces can speak to it.
I'll go. Just like Imani said, I didn't get necessarily negative feedback from like my coworkers, my friends, my family. Everyone actually loved it. Little do they know, I felt very uncomfortable with the whole process in itself because I literally just chopped it off. And I said I had to dye it because it was Black. I didn't like it. And when I dyed it, I felt a little bit more better, but just like you said, it didn't snap back the way it was there. I've always had like longer hair considered for a Black girl. So the whole process in itself, it was uncomfortable. Every time somebody did compliment me, I still would say, oh, okay, thank you. And even at times I forgot that I had cut it because it was something that I didn't really want to even acknowledge, you know? So I would often wear head wraps in the beginning until I did like just embrace it. And it was summertime. It was a little too hot for that here in New York. So I was like, you know, let me just get to it. And the compliments came for a while. Even it was like repeated compliments from like friends and family, like, yo, you really cut your hair, but it looks so nice. So nice. And I'm like, yeah, you know, I just want to start fresh. And then, you know, as it started to grow, I felt like it reached a stage where I was like, I'm uncomfortable with it again, because it reached that little, you know, the little bit. Now I'm like, what am I gonna do with it? The shortcut was fine, but am I gonna let it grow back or am I gonna cut it? Because that middle phase is not pretty.
That's where I'm at right now, y'all. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I love the cut. This is what I have it a Bantu now. So I want to do, you know, make it, you get bored to seeing the same thing. But yeah, I want to touch back on that. I do want to put this out there, that the response the second time around for me was a lot better, in a sense, maybe because again, when I first cut it, I didn't have the best shape, you know, when I cut it myself versus when I went out and had the barber do it, and, you know, the response was much different. By then I was already like confident in my skin. So like, you know, men, women compliment me here and there, even showing up in Bantu knots like this weird combination, whatever. People at work love it. Customers love it. And my colleagues like, oh, you know, I didn't even think of that. You could do that with a Bantu knot and then like a. But yeah, so it's interesting that you said that, you know, all you ladies are saying that the positivity has been really it's been more positive externally than negative. I'm gonna assume that's what we're all at. If you don't agree, then you can chime in and, you know, tell us what that experience is like. So next.
In my experience, like I'm the kind of person, or as a person, I tend to just do my own thing. Like, style for me and fashion for me is my own personal like rebellion. Like, I just always been like that. You know, I remember like shopping at the thrift store when I was like 15, because that's all I could afford, you know, and my mom, she was into fashion with me growing up. She's got like vintage from like the 20s. I mean, she was doing vintage from when I was a kid in the 80s. So I just grew up in that feel, you know. And being in high school, again, growing up in the environment that I grew up in, you know, I was like a downtown girl. I would take the train and go into the city on the weekend, or, you know, I was just in a different environment than what was me. And so I think like that's always kind of stuck with me. And I think pretty early on I got accustomed to people having a problem with what they saw on me, or, well, why is your hair that color, or, you know, why are you wearing this, or who wears track pants and stilettos. This is 2001. I do. I don't know. You don't have to wear it. It's on me, you know? And I think like, I remember even when I had my locks for all those years, I started getting Marley twist crochet weaves on my locks in like 2012. This is a long time ago. I mean, I was like, I'm bored. I want to do something else. You know, at the time, my hairdresser, she was so dope. She was just like, I don't have anybody that wants this, but okay, we'll figure it out, you know? And I think like most of what like I said, I would get things from people like, how many times you going to change your hair color? Or how many times you going to do this or whatever? And I just believed in my style so much. And I kind of feel like some of it comes from what you had talked about, Manji. Am I saying your name properly?
Yes. Manji or Manji, I respond to both.
What you were talking about, what you touched on earlier, which is almost like this internalized experience of other people experiencing you negatively. You know, I had gotten teased so much. I had gotten told I was so many bad things and picked apart or whatever, that my personal rebellion was like, well, I like it. So, you know, if y'all don't like it, fine, you know. And I kind of think like I'm probably too attached to my style. I'm one of those people where, like, if you ask me where I got something, I'm gonna tell you I don't know. I don't know where I got it. I don't know. I don't feel bad either. No, my shit is personal. Oh well. I don't care. I don't care. Everyone got the right to be themselves. You know, whatever. Everybody's different.
I'm not mad at you.
Everybody's different, but you know, my style is very personal to me, from my hair to my clothes to whatever I'm doing, and I want to see people have that same kind of personality with their self too. You know, like be you, do you. And for all the people who've had comments over the years, they've been in the same hairstyle all these years. All right, so I'm like, don't ask me. You getting your action from me. Sit back, eat this popcorn, and wait on the next color, cause you right here with yours.
Oh God, I was laughing because I actually I like sharing where I get my stuff from. I mean, I'm with you on that. Ain't nobody gonna rock it like how I do, but here's the information, boo. Do what you want to do with it, but it ain't gonna look like me, and that's no shade or tea, but you know. So yeah, I really appreciate what you just said. Okay.
I want to say, I've never gotten negative anything negative, no negative feedback when I cut my hair, because everyone loved it for the most part. All the men, my family, everybody. It's only when I started to grow it back, then people would be like, "Are you okay? Why do you want to grow it back?" And it's like, "Damn, I want to try something new." Even though I've tried everything under the sun, that was the only time that they really was just like, okay. And I've always felt in my element with short hair, but it took me a long time to really embrace that was me. I was that person. Like, I try to stay low key, but it's just not me. And I had to embrace the shortness. It's only this year, and I think because everybody, there's a lot going on right now. And then I just had a baby in January. Only this year when I was just, oh, thank you.
You look good. I saw your Instagram page. I'm like, what?
Thank you. It's only this year that it really forced me to be like, nah, Shauna, this is just you. Like, I don't like to focus too much on. I like to keep it simple. My hair, simple but really like edgy, if that makes sense. Simple but edgy. Mm-hmm. And I don't have time to focus on my hair and what's going on up there. So if I look good and it's clean, and when I go outside, I can focus on everything else that needs to be focused on, because I know that, all right, this is already taken care of. This is already me. Let me just embrace who I really am. So, and my grandmother, every time I wore my wig in college, I would go down and ask my grandmother, like, "Granny, you think how you liking my outfit?" And she was like, "You look nice, Shauna, but why you have on the wig?" I'm Guyanese too. She's like, "Why you got on the wig?" She said, "I feel like the wig does it hides your beauty." And I'm like, "All right, Granny, I'll take it off tomorrow."
Granny knows best.
Yeah, she knows best.
Yes, I have a few touch points, but I want everybody to share before I circle back on a few things you said.
I guess I'll go. As far as negative feedback, I didn't get, actually, when I first cut my hair as a teen, I did get negative feedback from my mom, because at the time I was taking school pictures and she was upset with me because I got a full-blown mohawk. Like, I guess I was being passive aggressive, because those pictures are ugly to this day. I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? So yeah, I did it somewhat. But I would say I got the most negative feedback when I went natural. So it was cool when I had short hair, when it was permed, and it was like, oh, Halle Berry, that was cool. But when I went natural, I got a lot of negative feedback, like, girl, why don't you perm it and make it look like how it looked before? I was like, the hell? And then one of my friends, she had accused me of like jumping on the natural hair trend. I'm like, no, I wanted to cut my hair and I want to color it. And my beautician said the only way I can get color is if I leave it natural. And I like it. I kind of like my little coils or whatever. I didn't even know my hair could look like this. So I would say that was the only time I really got negative feedback. My husband always been like really supportive of all the crazy stuff like y'all. I feel like we all have a lot in common. I probably had every hairstyle like y'all you can think of. And I don't know, he likes it, so I guess it's okay.
Last but not least, Athena.
Okay. I don't know why I thought I went, but I'll feel free to talk again. It doesn't matter. I really thought I did, but yeah, I didn't like. I did go because I was saying that I didn't get. Yeah. But I do have something to say though, because it seems like we've all experienced like a little negative, definitely more on the positive side, and I'm certain it's not on any one of us. But I feel like people are afraid of change. You know, especially within themselves. So when they see somebody that like myself, I've always had hair. So when they see someone that, oh, you just cut it off, instantly they assume something is wrong with you. Or it's like, oh, you know, it's cute, but why the change? Or, you know, if it's nice, just let it be nice. It's not the questions and things like that come after, you know? So I definitely feel like people are just like not used to change, even with hair color, going from perm to natural, going from long to short. It's a change that people are not used to.
Okay. Alrighty. So before we wrap it up, I do want to touch back on a few things that were said. I remember I said I was going to come back to Shauna. When you said simple but edgy, it just had me thinking fearsome energy, because that's really and truly why I named the podcast that. I've always felt like my style was soft sophistication with a hint of badass. Right. And I didn't know that I had badass in me until like I was able to sport the short hair twice. And I'll probably do it again after I grow it out a few more times. So when you said that, I was like, yes, this girl, she gets it. Yes. And then I also want to touch back on what everybody said about as far as people projecting their insecurities onto you. You know, I spoke about this in a post recently on Instagram where I said, you know, when people aren't able to embrace you for who you are or the things that you do, one or two things gonna happen. They're either gonna respectfully disagree and let you do boo, like do you boo, you know, I wouldn't do it, but do you boo, you know, looks good on you boo. Or they're just going to project. And I speak about this in my book. Let me get over to which page right here. I have not a whole chapter, but a section in the book where I speak about colorism, and I break it down into the nuances of it, right? Because this was a speech actually written about maybe like 7 or 6 years ago. When I was in college, it was a speech that actually made it into my book. So I was like, oh, I did so good on this speech, I'm gonna put it in the book. So this section about colorism, I speak about Featurism and Texturism. And I find it interesting with short hair, especially Featurism and Texturism, just they come hand in hand with it, right? So if you have a less pronounced nose, right? Or a straighter nose, or if your cheekbones sit just as high as a Naomi or Toni Braxton, or if your lips, you know, are the perfect size. Now everybody wants the big lips, but you know, back then it was like a certain aesthetic to it, right? Even some of our favorites, right? The Lupitas, the Nia Longs, the Issa Rae's, the Yvonne Orji's, and you know, the old school Halle Berry. Who else? I'm forgetting. But like this, I noticed short hair on some women in our community, right, is not praised the same way as others. And I'll use myself as an example, right? When I went natural, when I fully embraced the natural, transitioning through high school up until now when I got my hair cut, I still feel like even with some of the pushback I got about my hair being short, I always got one of the positive things, or I guess positive, right? Because I speak about it in the book too. Oh, your hair, your curls are so nice, and oh, you know, your hair type is nice, and all of that stuff. Like it would always come with that, or like, you know, I like how nice your hair is, right? So like, it would make me feel uncomfortable because I'm just like, well, if my hair was a type 4C, with very tight coils, would the conversation be the same? You know, and that's that's one of the reasons why too I try to make my hairstyles very versatile, so that people can see like I have the type 4 hair look too, when it's dry, and sometimes when it's not even with no product in it. And I could also pull off the 4B, 4A just fine, but I'm type 4, you know, like, let's not try to exotify it to make you feel comfortable about the fact that I have short hair, or, you know, this type of hairstyle. And so that was my own like situation with it. But I've also, I did a little bit of scrolling on YouTube, prior to having this conversation, starting this conversation. There were some women who maybe had noses that are wider than mine. I feel like I have a very like pronounced black nose. I love my nose. I would never change it. No, nothing like that. But there are some women who feel like, you know, oh, we have the same noses, but nah, I don't like how my nose looks. So I was afraid what the short hair would do, you know, to my nose. Would it make it look more pronounced, or, you know? So that's what I really wanted to speak to, is that the featurism and the texturism aspect of having short hair. Because as you mentioned, Shauna, right? When your grandmother said, oh, the wig cover your beauty, right? But, and this is a thing too, like short hair almost acts the same way as updos do, right? So everybody gets to see everything. If you think you're the most beautiful thing, then having no hair on your head it makes no difference. But when you feel like, okay, you know, maybe I'm okay, or I could try this, and I'm not gonna do that. This is safe for me. You feel like, okay, you know what, the hair would help to take away from the thing that you find ugly, and like, you know, heighten the things that you do find to be beauty on yourself. So it was just really interesting hearing that narrative. And every time somebody spoke, I'm like, yeah, when Latoya said, oh, I had to choose between texture and color, and I chose the color because what you mean? Like, if you mean I should go like get a pixie. And the most interesting part that you said, when you said that, it took me back to a few days ago when I told my male coworker, he's Black, I'm gonna do this thing on this podcast about short hair or whatever. And his whole thing was just like, why cut it all off though? Why not do a pixie? And I'm looking at him like, I'm like, okay. And here's the thing too. I always give people grace in the sense that they have to learn. They will learn on their own timing at different stages and stuff like that. Because I think he's one of the most brilliant people that I've met so far at my job. And even he has some learning to do. You know, some people learn when they have children. For me, one of my biggest things is like, when I have my children, primarily daughters, I want them to see me with long hair. I want them to see me with short natural hair. I want them to see me with braids. I want them to see that, you know, like, you can do it all. And here's the thing, right? There are certain styles that I wouldn't do for myself, but I could appreciate on others. And I think that's sometimes with children, because they're so impressionable. If they feel like it's not acceptable amongst their peers, they're most likely not going to be able to embrace it and appreciate it on someone that does not fit the norm. And I think that is so important. Like, my motto has always been, if she likes it, I love it. It may not be for me, right? But she's rocking it well. She's making it work for her. And I could appreciate and respect that. And I feel like that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to have this conversation again, because if you remember the original post, I said I was at the barbershop and my barber was telling me, oh, you know, when I told him, I said, oh, I said, Sean, you know, go a little sharper over here because my hair grows fast. And once it starts growing, I don't look clean no more. You know, it doesn't, it's like my makeup now. It's like what a beard does to certain men. Like, you know, it just has to be placed right. And he's like, oh, I was afraid to do that because some women come in the chair and they're cutting their hair for the first time. And they're like, don't make me look like a man. And then the barber next to him, and he said, we looked at her like, really? In his mind, he's like, I'm not that good. I can't turn you into a man. I mean, not from nothing. I love my barbers. Like they one of the reasons that I feel so comfortable going constantly. Like, you know, I've had women in my hair, in my family cut their hair too, eventually, and, you know, style it that way. And then I think it was my cousin who went ahead and went to the barber first. And I was like, oh, maybe I should try the tapered look or whatever. And so when that conversation, I'm like, really though? Like, so many women have been changing their hairs, being unapologetic about themselves. I really didn't still expect this thing to be a thing, you know, especially since we've seen so many women do it from time to time, not just Black women, but yeah, you have something to say, Shauna?
I was going to touch on the fact that you said, don't make me look like a man. I purposely go into the barbershop and tell my barber, cut me like you cut these men, okay? Cut me like you cut these men. Do not... I want it to be clean, okay? Don't,
Yeah, don't do me.
Yeah, I've always feel like I just want to, I be trying to be low key. I do stay low key, but I still be wanting to go out and prove. It's probably like, that's probably like an ego thing, but prove like, nah, I got this in the bag, just like these men got it in the bag.
Hello. Right.
I'm guilty of saying that. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, don't make me look like a man. Don't be having me looking extra masculine out here now. Don't, you know, keep something on the sides for me. But I don't mind going low as well. But I have been guilty for saying that.
And that's perfectly fine because, like I said, we all grow and learn at different stages. And something, like I said, for me, I've always admired the tapered haircut for the simple fact, I'm like, yo, how does she pull it off and still not like give like masculine vibes? But once we realize that the core of it is not, it's not the actual haircut, it's the energy behind the haircut, then my perception changed entirely, you know? And sometimes, so like, for me, the only time I feel like I feel most insecure without hair is when I break out. Because now because I have no safety net. And sometimes, like, realistically, when I started learning how to do makeup, like, it was an everyday thing. You know, I started out in high school, you know, learning. I used to put the mascara and put it on my eyebrows, and, you know, because I didn't know back then that, like, YouTube was not YouTube now, you know, with the tutorials. Okay, so I was watching and I was trying to figure it out. You know, I have some women in my family used to laugh at me, but it was only because they was like, nah, it looks crazy. I see what you're trying to do, but it looks crazy. You know, it would have helped if they knew how to do it, how to like correct it, but they didn't know how to correct it. So at the time I felt like, oh, y'all just hate it. But really and truly, I look crazy back then. So, but like, I don't want to have to wear like do makeup every day or whatever. So one thing I should say, with having short hair and just having my face exposed all the time, skincare became like a thing. Like, imagine, like, you know, having your face done and everything, and like you have to deal with acne. Like, so it really did, something good did come out of it. But yeah, I think we've pretty much like touched on everything here. I'm sorry, I'm a stickler for scripts and writing and all of that stuff. So I do write it down.
Can I tell one more story about why I cut my hair?
Oh yeah, sure.
I forgot to mention. All right, I just
We
really
got
quickly. I promise y'all it's not long. It's gonna be like 20, maybe 25 seconds. But one time, I know we all got a million stories because we cut our hair in stages, right? Every 3, 5, whatever. But one time I actually went to the Dominican salon and they said they was conditioning my hair, but it smelled like chemicals. And let's just say a week later, I was bald headed anyway. So I just, had the snip cut. But yeah, this was about maybe 5 years ago, 5 or 6 years ago. Yeah, went to the Dominican salon. It was like, we're going to put some conditioner, some special conditioner. She put the special conditioner in my hair. I'm like, why does it smell like chemicals? She's like, oh no, mommy, you good, you good. Then she went and got some neutralizing shampoo. I'm like, why are you using neutralizing shampoo to take out conditioner? And they started speaking Spanish to each other. I was like, maybe you're being, how you're talking to yourself. I'm like, girl, you're being paranoid. Mm-hmm. Who would put permanent conditioner? Who would do this? But yeah, that's what they was doing, child. Right over there. Now let me stop. I ain't gonna do that. But around the corner.
Yeah, and the funny thing about that is, I think this is why I'm so distrusting of anybody touching my hair that's not family, because don't get me wrong, I would still go to like I have a salon next to my house that when I wanted to get my hair straightened or whatever, but that's because I trust her. We've established that trust. She's also Dominican, but she's one of those Dominicans that know she Black. Okay. And so she's not on that spectrum. So we have that, we understand each other. I think I've only straightened my hair maybe twice with her. I do want to get a full on silk press. I'm still searching for that, but right now I'm rocking the short, so it's not really on my mind. But eventually I want to get to that space where I could trust somebody in my hair, because again, that's them projecting their standard of beauty onto you, and that may not even be what you're looking for. Okay, well, she's here for me to fix these naps. I don't even like using that word. But that's the demeanor that has to go through somebody's mind for them to alter the chemical contents of something that's just supposed to be a simple blow up, wash and set. That's crazy to me. And that's one of the reasons why when it comes to my braids, my cousin, my aunts do my braids. I have an aunt that does really good braids, knotless braids. If y'all want the hookup, I'll let y'all know what the prices are with that. But for me, as far as me dealing with my natural hair, knowing what it needs, I've been using YouTube. I've been, asking, the next sister next to me, and that's been working for me. But I feel like the reason why I have my Bantu knots right now, 2 reasons. It's cold outside, and because I have high porosity, my hair takes forever to dry. So going outside and then your scalp, your pores are open, and this weather is just not conducive. It's not productive. I only had it out when I was in Houston a few weeks ago. It made sense because I wasn't going to get sick. But in situations like this, where maybe I could try a silk press, but I just don't have nobody that I trust can do it the way I want it to get done. So a part of that too is when you cut off the hair that you cut off all the I would say bad hair, right? In this sense that it's not healthy, right? When you cut off the unhealthy hair, you start anew. It's almost like a baby to you. You start nurturing it differently. I remember maybe the first time that I put a sew-in back in after I've been natural, and I cut my hair. It's different. Your scalp is different. It needs different things because it's adapted and changed to fit the certain conditions that it's used to. I would still I don't think I'll do sewing no more. I'm more of a wig person now because it just makes more sense. The wig could stay put without me having to sew it through. A plus B equals C squared plus B. I'm good. Even if they broke, don't fix it.
I want to try these wigs out. I'm old school. I come from the sewing era. I have not tried the wig yet. I did try an invisible part that was hot back in like 2010. I don't know if anybody here is over. But anyway, yeah, back in 2010, they had like an invisible part. But I don't know. I'm scared of wigs. I feel like the wind gonna blow and boom, that's it. And then the glue is like, I don't know. It's just,
let me tell y'all a hack about that. I actually don't use glue.
no, okay.
I don't. And I think also it depends on like because it's not that I'm a hairstylist, but when I realized that I wanted to wear wigs and be on a budget, I'm sorry. With beauty and fashion, I'm a cheapskate. I'm sorry, okay? Like, even if I'm gonna pay you, like, I'm gonna look for the best, but the most reasonable price, because I change my mind ever so often. I can't be spending money that I would want to spend on my equipment on my hair. It just doesn't make sense. So what I do is I make sure that I make the wig tight. I sew it really nice and tight. And then when I did have braids, right, when I did have hair around the perimeter, I would sew on the clips, and you'll be surprised. When the wig is tailored to your head size, it's a completely different experience. I've never had to use glue. Don't ask me to do a frontal. I'm not the person to do it, but I'm good at plucking, and I will use the foundation, and I'll get the nude cap and all of that, do all of that stuff. But really and truly, I don't have the time and I don't have the money, because if it's hot, it's lifting, and it's a lot of maintenance. It's a lot of maintenance. Like, I have the time to really sit and do it myself, but repetitively, like something like that, it's best, I would say, you go to a professional one time, maybe 2 more times, to figure out how to do it. And then when you learn how to do it, that's how you save your money. But every day,
I'm not that handy. I'm not that well, not handy. What? I'm not that talented yet. I don't know. We'll see.
Wow. So I guess we can wrap it up. Unless anybody has anything else to say. If you want to shout out your business, now is the time to. Just make sure you text me, because I sent each and every one of you my number. It's in the email. Text me the information, so when I'm editing, we can put that up there for you. Because this is the Fierce Femme Energy podcast. As I mentioned, we only highlight women doing the best things for themselves, whether it's hair, makeup, if you're interested in STEM and the arts. This is a gossip-free zone. This is just really just uplifting and bringing positivity. I know this doesn't generate a lot of views and stuff like that, because it's not trending, and it's not something that, it's not that it's not trending. It's not something that people can feed into, that's negative. So it does not generate much viewership, but we're gonna keep on pushing this, because I believe that it's important, especially as a young woman, as a young Black woman, to create a space where women can show up as they are, where Black women can show up as they are, however they choose to show up. You'll be surprised who are my friends, and you'll be able to be like, well, I don't see it, but at the end of the day, that's because that's who I am. Like, if she likes it, I love it. Okay. I may not subscribe to everything, but there are similarities and things that I can align myself with, to the point where I don't feel like I have to judge a woman based on her background and stuff like that. And, we can make magic together. So if you want to shout out whatever you got going on, now is the time to do it. Okay. Firsthand, Latoya.
I just want to shout out my book club. Called Red Wine and Thoughts. We're on Instagram, red_wine_thoughts. You can also find us, _by_black, because we're affiliated with the Black Resource Network, which is a networking group for Black people in Queens. So join the Black Resource Network. We also have a Facebook page with 1,500 members. We host a happy hour every Sunday. And if you are an author or you a poet, like Cashel, and you want to share what you're working on with the audience, reach out. redwineandthoughts@gmail.com.
Okay, ladies, you heard it. Red wine and thoughts.
I just asked you, Latoya, to stick the handle in the chat box. I'd love to follow, and I'm so grateful to have been a part of this evening with all of you. It was nice to connect, and as we've been talking, and Manji, you referenced the texturism and how that relates into all the other isms that get projected onto us. It really made me think about this piece that I wrote. This is the book. It's called 846. It's just
Ooh.
first official amount of time they released on George Floyd's death of the duration of that tragedy. And it's an anthology, an all black anthology with all black playwrights. And it's a collection, and it just made me think about the piece that I wrote. And I just want to read a stanza or two because it really made me realize, like, wow, as an artist, sometimes we create things, we express things, but we're doing it in real time. We may not always know our motivation or what we were saying when we were saying what we were saying. And I realized that this piece is really about my experience of other people's projections onto me, right? So it's called Hashtag the Black Girl by Cashel Campbell. This pain isn't new. I don't matter. My voice doesn't matter. My love is ignorable. My existence is a dream. I would have come and gone, and no one would have seen me or heard me. My hair is good enough to be touched, poked, and pulled. It's good enough to be a wig, costume, or extension. Nappy Naptoria, coiled hair, 0A at the beauty supply. You won't buy it. I can be looked at and oogled at and asked out loud in public, at work, or at play if my own grown hair is real. I'm living in the biggest invisible cage. I am a freak show, Sarah Bartman, 2016. Big ass in tow, and the ass, my big ass, the big asses, the big brown asses can be packaged in jeans and shorts and injected in Central America or in North if you want. The black asses matter, and they can be fashioned and touched and fucked and wanted, and she's really only hot because of that big old ass. Big, fat, black ass, my own men's glory, but just my ass. Change my skin and my hair texture is too black. So that's just the first three stanzas.
Come on, first three stanzas. Oh wow, that was powerful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
That was deep.
Yeah.
Thank you. But so much of it really is talking about, as we get together, it's just reminding me that we've had such a very similar experience, and how many parts of us, of our beauty, of our beings have just been commodified and misunderstood and not really embraced in a real way. And I think that the more opportunities we have to discuss this is the more opportunities we are really healing ourselves and each other. So thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else before we close out?
I wrote my
Yes. Go ahead, Tashana.
I was saying I wrote my handle in the chat. Sorry.
Okay. All right. Let's see. I don't know how to screenshot. Let me see. I don't think I was copy.
I wrote it in the chat as well, but I'll let you guys know a little bit about it. So my artwork, my handle for that is goddess_Athena, God_art. And that's for my artwork. I've done like a host of shows all over New York and some in the surrounding areas as well, which is all original artwork, painted by me, thought of by me. And I also do prints as well. So people will have the opportunity, if they didn't get the original, they can get like a print, or, even for a cheaper price as well. And for my self-care line, which consists of homemade candles, I definitely make them all scented, from essential candles to fragrance candles. And the body, some of them have the matching body butters as well, but I do make body butters, beard oil for men as well, which is pretty dope. Those been like on a rise, and beard balms as well. So it's definitely just continuing with the whole self-care thing, and that handle is Goddess Athena _essentials.
Okay. All righty. Anyone else? There
I'll
we go.
Before I really say what I was gonna say, I really wanted to point on Manji. You said when you start having your kids, you want them to, understand that there's no norms really. You want them to embrace differences. And I have 2 girls, one on the way, and trust me, they've seen my hair long. They've seen my hair bald, like literally scalp. And they love all of it. I think early exposure is really, really important. With that being said, follow me at Billionaire Imani. I'm going to be launching a 6 figures in 6 months coaching course in January, most likely. So look out for that. I don't really have anything right now, but look out. Follow me and it'll be on my page, girls.
Okay, we'll be looking out for that. And congrats. Yes, girl, mom. I just have to say that because I feel like there's a thing with everybody not wanting to have girls, but listen, I want daughters. I want sons too, but like my daughters, when I get them, they're like, I can't wait.
That's another conversation, Manji, that you should.
Yeah, that's another conversation. I'll probably bring you ladies back on, whoever has daughters. I'll definitely have that segment. Is there anybody else before we close out?
I'm a hairstylist, guys, in Brooklyn, New York. Pull up on your girl. And I'm also really funny, guys. So definitely follow me on my regular Instagram too.
Alrighty, thank you so much. Just make sure you send me those handles and things that sorts offline so I can, when I edit, put that all on here. But I just want to thank you ladies so much. Like I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna be speaking with strangers. I wonder if they're gonna like me, they're gonna catch the vibe. Because I know when I'm a writer, I come off a lot more what's more like serious. So I was just really happy that I'm over here and we get to embrace and like really take on the energy. I will ask you ladies offline for your addresses and stuff like that, because I do want you ladies, especially to have a copy of Mom. I feel like it's a book that it's a love letter that women should pick up over and over and over and over again. Pick it up, put it down. It's not in chronological order for a reason. But yeah, I thank you so much for coming to the Fierce Femme Energy podcast. This is the first official episode after the 3-segment series, the introductory series. I can't wait to fish out more topics. If you feel like, even if the topic isn't for you, but for somebody else, I'd gladly have that woman on. Again, this is a woman's space only, so no men allowed. No men allowed. They're allowed to watch, but they're not allowed to speak when Black women are speaking. And that's not me being sexist or anything like that. But I feel like so many people rush to silence us when we start talking off the rip of us being Black women and their perception of what we're allowed to do and what we're not allowed to do. Just trying to keep that space safe and respectful for us. I ask that you only invite female women. But yeah, thank you so much for being on the Fierce Femme Energy podcast. And we'll see you next time. I'll try to get this video out to y'all as soon as possible. Instagram has this new feature where you could invite collaborator. I've done it with a few of the other podcast members. So that way you'll have access to that video, to your part, if you want to share with your friends and family, show them what you've been a part of. And also it's just a quick way. It's a good way to also promote and put yourself out there and elevate what you're doing, because I feel like this is that space for that. Thank you again so much, ladies. And yeah, feel free to text me. The email thing is just to be formal first time, but text me and whatever. Yeah, definitely. Thank you again, Black Resource, because I have to shout y'all out, because this is really how I got so many responses. I put out on Instagram, my friends shared, but Black Resource really delivered. So I really want to thank you so much, Latoya. And I just want to say y'all are so stunning, and y'all understood the assignment. Thank you. I don't want to take up too much of your time, and have a good night.
Good night, ladies.
Thank you, Manji.
Good night.
Good night, ladies.
Bye.
Hey there, it's your favorite girl, Manji Nadia Baka. author of Mom. If you loved what you heard on the Fierce Femme Energy podcast, go ahead and hit that subscription button below, like this video, and also turn on that notification bell so you know every single time we post here at the Fierce Femme Energy podcast. And if you haven't already heard, but the stepchild, aka a paperback, has been pushed to the side, not really, but the main child, the hardcover copy of Mom, is now available on Amazon and Apple Books and Google Play Books, and I just like saying that, and on my website, 100 Degrees of MNK. That's www.100degreesofmnk.com. Pick up your hardcover copy now. It's available for $19.95. The paperback stepchild is now $15.95 if you're on a budget. Listen live to our podcast on Apple Podcasts. That's right, it's Fierce Femme Energy on Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much for watching, and see you next time.